Blake Griffin had a really funny joke?
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you this one then.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin had this one. I mean, he actually is aware of what's funny.
Yeah. And those who don't know sports, Blake Griffin, basketball player, currently
basketball player, one of those great guys who transitioned his career when his body quit. He was a very body dominant player. Mm-hmm. His athleticism was the main focal point of his career. His athleticism started to dwindle, and he adjusted. Vince Carter did the same exact thing.
Yep.
Paul Pierce, who never really was athletic, did the same thing. Carmelo kind of took a long time to give into it, but finally did the same thing.
Just learned how to only shoot falling backwards jump shots.
Yeah.
Worked. And so Blake Griffin, for a hot second, doing stand-up
and like running little like... You know how if you're really famous in anything else, you can then be as famous at comedy as you want to be. Mm-hmm. And he had this joke where he's like, I don't get sports betting. Have you met athletes? And he's like, the sports bettors don't understand how we are as people. One time when we were on the Clippers, we were favored to win a game by 2.5 points, but we had a hot dog eating contest before the game. And he's like, and Vegas doesn't know that all of us ate 14 hot dogs 10 minutes ago.
That's a great
Isn't that great? And he's like, we lost by 10.
I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, welcome to the show. Today is July 26, 2022, year of our Lord. This is Everything But the Scores with Danny Jollis. My name is Danny Jollis. On this show, we talk about all things sports.
Mm-hmm. Are you looking into the camera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You want to now take it easy.
Sorry.
People are watching this and they're not prepared for the Kyle death stare. Those dead eyes.
Yeah.
This is everything off this field that happens. If you watch a ton of sports, this is all the stuff they don't talk about. If you don't watch sports at all, this show is for you. Subscribe, rate, comment, tell a friend. I say the same things every week.
Right, like if you don't watch sports, that's a funny Blake Griffin story.
That's a funny... And you can follow...
He told a funny joke, and you don't need to know anything about sports to know it's funny that they're people.
And let me tell you something. On this, what I can only describe as the desert week of the year.
Yes.
A week where truly no sport happens. There's no better week to tune into this show if you don't know sports. Because we are grasping for stories.
Remember the baseball all-star game last week. Isn't that a fun story to say? Remember when those guys didn't try last week?
Hey, remember that All-Star game where nothing interesting happened the entire time? And not just nothing interesting happened. We all knew nothing interesting was going to happen. We don't even watch it.
Remember when the oldest guy in the league hit some home runs? Those were the day.
That was.
It's true. It is such a dead week for sports. And I don't mean to interrupt the intro unless you're done with the intro.
No, we make our way through the intro slowly. You're allowed to intro, and then I'll continue.
It is crazy. Sometimes I'll put on like a PTI as like a background thing and they're just like, you just see them taking like deep breaths now. They're like, how about that LIV tour? And you're just like, we can't do 2 hours of this anymore.
And then as a show that has already been heavily focused on the LIV tour, the golf group that is stealing everybody.
Yeah.
It's like weeks like this where I'm like, and nothing new happened because I've already been hitting those stories. Now we have follow-ups. We keep track of things. We got a nice. I got
to give a shout out to that golf league for naming themselves after a Super Bowl. That's what I think every time they say they went to the LIV tour. I'm like, I bet Ben Roethlisberger played in that one. Mostly because I have disdain for the personality behind it.
Oh, sure. I mean, we all do. And yet, what are we really going to do? And how do we really get involved? Now, joining us as co-producer, co-host of the show, Noah Kopp for everybody.
Hello once again. Good, sir. Good to see you.
Hey, buddy. Are we allowed to talk about your exciting...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I got my nose pierced this weekend.
Ooh!
Yeah.
I've never seen someone get the bridge pierced with a bone like that, but it looks good.
Thank you? Question mark?
Oh, wait, I forgot there's video.
Yeah.
That'll be debunked quickly.
Oh, you were saying a fake thing.
Okay. I thought the placement. I was like, well, now I'll stare at this. But I get what you're saying now. Yes, that was me.
Well, see, interesting, because I don't know enough about the nose, where when you said that, I was like, oh, that's up here.
Oh, with the...
That would be up here.
Who knows?
Kyle, you're the best guest we've ever had already.
I have got to tell you guys, you can't see it on camera, but I'm a big fan of your smoke detector dangling by the wires. Like, it's a little closer, so you'll get the smoke detected earlier.
That thing's been off for centuries. That thing...
It was invented before smoke.
That thing's been off for forever. And not just is it off, but then that bathroom over here, and I don't want to scare everyone, but we do... This bathroom, if you flip one switch, it turns on the light.
Okay.
Makes sense. If you turn the other switch, it turns on a heater fan.
Oh, yeah.
That quickly makes the room
so hot.
So hot, like and smells like fire immediately. Second it's on. Every time somebody stays in this room, I have to be like, so now if you touch that, you have to sense it, and please don't touch it before going to bed, because I think the house will burn down.
There's these crazy things like New
and
York
our smoke detector doesn't work.
is grandfathered into a lot of weird things where you're like, hey, in my house is a heater I don't control, and it's a hot coil, and it's like, it's so hot, I open the window in January. Like, New York is grandfathered into a lot of these things because the houses are older than electricity. LA is somehow grandfathered into technology that's easily replaceable from the 70s.
I know.
Like, this is just, these heat lamps are in tons and tons of, like, condominiums, apartments, and duplexes.
It's like, why?
Who wants it that hot, ever? You're taking a shower. I want it to be neutral or
also
cool.
in that room. Is so bananas to me.
Yeah.
Like, if it's in a living room, I get that, but it's in the smallest room,
Sure,
typically.
it gets cold in the winter. We can make a case for it. I can make an argument.
Sure.
But in the bathroom, and it's just right next to the other switch.
Yeah. And there's some of those, like... Also, I haven't seen it, but that would be a nice secondary light if you need to go to the bathroom at night, except you cook yourself.
Yes.
And then go get back under a blanket.
And you're going to hear it, but you're not going to notice it immediately because it doesn't even light up. So you're going to very slow, at least my experience with it, because we moved in, we did not catch it until we moved in.
Yeah.
And then it was one of these things where it's like, well, who really gives a shit? But
Right.
one of these things where it was like probably on for 5 minutes before I was like, why is this room suddenly because I thought I was turning on the fan. I just thought I was turning on the fan. And I was like, why is it smell like I'm burning down my own house?
Am I having a stroke? Is that toast?
Speaking of toast.
Is that a heart attack?
Well, I was trying to say, I was going to say speaking of stroke, and then I was like, well, that's no fun to say. But speaking of a toast, sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. And today we are lucky enough, blessed enough to have a guest. We've only not had a guest one time. But this week, but we leave that option open because it will come to fruition. And
sure.
I think I'm actually thinking about, like, as we get closer to football season, doing like a bunch of like, let's get into the stories of football.
Yeah.
But joining us this week, and that had nothing to do with you. Joining us this week, he is a very, very funny human. I've known him for a very long time at this point. He's the host of Never Seen It, which is a great podcast that is just great. One of the most creative humans I know. Also known from Conan. Very, very funny person. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Ayers. And what does Sting have to say? Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry your coffee wasn't cold brew.
No, that's great. It's iced coffee. That'll be better for me in the long run, is what it will be. I always say cold brew. I don't care.
I mean, we talked about it last week on this show, but it's worth saying again. These Starbucks
inside of a place. You ever, like, on the road somewhere and you look up a coffee shop and they're like, the only one is the Starbucks inside of the local grocery store, and then you got to walk down a highway to go sit inside of a grocery store, and you're just like, do I like Indianapolis?
That is, I mean, when you're in a city, when you're in one of those cities where, like, you just, because I always get one of my Danny Gel secrets, I always get an airport hotel. That's why I love an airport hotel. They can have what you need. I'm not no tricks, but there's always like a walk to just literally anything.
Right. Do you want to go to the gastro pub that the people from the office buildings go eat at?
Yeah.
17-minute walk.
17-minute walk.
That's embarrassing.
Yep. And then you get there and you're like, that couldn't be more not worth the walk.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
But these Starbucks inside places, every time I'm in there. Last week we didn't have tops to our cup.
Okay.
That was a running thing. And yet this one, you know what this one does always have? All the sandwiches.
Oh, that's crazy. That's usually what they're out of.
Of course.
That's wild.
Because they get like 6 of them.
Because I don't know if you noticed, I have a monster cup here.
Monster, yeah.
Because they had a Trenta and they didn't have venti.
Huh.
They're just out of those cups.
Huh.
Just out of those cups.
The Starbucks in the Kansas City airport opens at 7 a.m. How insane is that at an airport? I had a flight at like 7:40 maybe.
Yeah.
And got there. You know, Kansas City airport is basically no security. You have a gun, they let you through, and you just like breeze through the pre-check there. People don't. People think
pre-check is
in Missouri. People think pre-check is government overreach, so no one has it. So I am the only person with pre-check and a Missouri driver's license that's ever existed.
Listen, you tell me why every single person is in pre-check, and I'll never understand why.
Yeah, it's just me and Josh Hawley, the only ones who like to run down hallways alone. And I get to the Starbucks, and it's not open at 6. And I'm just like, well, how's this? And then the line starts forming at like 6:30. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then I'm in line like 10th. And they open at 7, and we're boarding at like 7:15, and then they're already like, "We don't have food today," and I'm like, "What?" But what is happening?
Yeah.
It is crazy, and they also are like, "We don't accept the Starbucks card. We don't accept gift cards.
Our prices are somehow inflated.
We don't serve people with hats. I'm sorry, that's just what we do at this Starbucks. Is no hats. And it's more expensive in paper cups for the iced drinks because I want you to have a pulpy Sudoku book on your air flight." Pulpy Sudoku book. Write that down on my list of band names.
Sudoku book.
Just point to my assistant who doesn't exist.
Well, listen,
Just a lamp.
Sometimes you gotta let them know. Do you did you play any sports growing up?
A lot of them. Growing up, most played pretty much everything. I was actually a state champ All-American swimmer in high school.
We don't talk about that
good.
enough.
Very, very good at it. Yeah. Thank you.
That's nothing to
where
sneeze
this
at.
body came from.
Well,
or was.
You got a good frame.
You know what's wild? I grew up on a lake. Very naturally good at swimming. Got into it just to like my freshman year in high school. Right before it was the first time I ever did competitive swimming and was immediately good at it. I was like all conference first team freshman year, having never done competitive. And just because I grew up on a lake and I was large, I was like this height when I was a freshman in high school.
Right.
And but I hated it. I hate the idea of swimming so much and then I played water polo, and once again same thing, all American water polo.
Water polo's tough. Swimming though,
It's my favorite sport.
People don't. I mean, that swimming schedule, if you're taking it seriously, is no joke because you're swimming before school.
4:45 a.m. practice.
Whoa.
And then a practice, then school, which is whatever, and then practice after school until 5.
Yeah.
And then weights 3 times a week, and then Saturday practice noon to 2 p.m. and then weight training. And that's high school. We were good, but it's still like, come on.
We had a girl on our street growing up who was so incredibly good at swimming, but of course wasn't able to make the Olympic team, but was in the conversation, which is so a level of good at swimming, unfathomable.
I don't think people understand. If you think there's funneling in professional sports, the funneling in Olympic sports is even crazier, where it goes from like, I was nowhere near the Olympics. I was like, if I devote my life, I'll keep doing it in like college.
Yep.
And the race I did, I would lose to an Olympian by 1 second. Like, that is like the difference. It's the shortest race. It's like the 100 meters.
Yeah.
100 meter dash, but it's a 50 meter.
Yes. But the
freestyle,
difference
but it's
between in that second, I mean, the amount of thousands.
3,000 swimmers.
Yes. It's insane. It's so insanely competitive.
Not even including the people who are good at swimming the other events that don't even do mine. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. The difference between like Usain Bolt and like the national champion high school 100 meter guy. You're like, oh, that's a second and a half. And you're like, yeah, but that's everybody who does it.
Second and a half is the most.
Yeah.
Is the most amount of time. It's insane.
So to sniff it, yeah, I was good in high school, and I was really good at water polo. That's what I feel like I was best at in my whole life, probably.
Water polo, that's a classic Olympic sport to me.
That's
one of those Olympic sports. Every year I go, let me try water polo, and within 2 games I'm like, I think I love water polo.
It's really fun. It's a sport dominated mostly by people who look like they're in the KGB. And it is purely Eastern European tracksuit men. Like that is because it is very physical. I got my nose broken. I've had like dislocated shoulder. You get scratches and kicks and like anything under the water is fair game. Oh. So think of it like constant hockey fighting while you're swimming.
Yes. The footage of, like, to me, when you watch water polo, what you gotta do is when they have that underwater camera, and you just, because the thing you'll see in real time is you'll just see a guy with the ball, and then he'll just disappear. He just disappears underwater, seemingly for no reason. But it's actually the other human dragging him,
pulls him under. It's just, you can't call a thing you can't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little Jaws situation.
So everybody's just disappearing underwater.
There's no bottom. That's the thing people don't really realize. It's not like you're running in a shallow end of a pool. You tread water for 45 to 50 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
it was pretty intense. Unfortunately for us, there's a movie called The Guardian with Ashton Kutcher where he was a Navy SEAL, and I think Kevin Costner, that came out while I was in high school. And unfortunately, our water polo coach saw it and thought it would be fun to implement some of the training from that movie. And so we were holding half full, maybe barely gallons of water up while you're treading water above the water, because if you let them down too much, they would get more water in them and get heavier. And you just do that for like an hour at practice, and you're just like, what are we doing? God. But no, water polo playing is very fun. The training for it is miserable.
Of course. Do you now you do? I know the answer to this, but I have to ask it because these are one of our 2 questions. Do you watch any sports?
A lot of sports.
He's a big sports guy.
I love storylines. I love. It's my reality TV, I guess.
You are the like person who I'm like, you get this podcast as much as anybody.
Yeah, I think that it is pretty close, especially with the inflation of social media and stuff. Sports, and the Kardashians are very similar.
Yes. Well, quite literally.
What I like about it.
Tend to be fucking...
Sports and Kardashians. That was a very funny Blake Griffin roast joke he did once. Caitlyn Jenner was on the dais for maybe the Trump roast or something. And he was like, Caitlyn... It was right after Caitlyn had transitioned. And he's like, Caitlyn, I want to thank you for transitioning and giving all of your daughters daddy issues. It's worked out well for all of us.
I mean, it's... That family. But Blake Griffin, man. We don't talk enough about that period where he was doing stand-up. Never met him during that time.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what I really like about sports is these storylines. I explain it to people when I'm like, this is why I like the Chiefs. I was like, well, I've been watching this show my whole life.
Yeah.
And most of the players, or most of the characters aren't the same.
Yep.
But
you meet these...
You meet them and you get to know them.
You meet them, you grow to love them.
Yeah.
You grow to, like... If you dedicate yourself to a team and you're like, I'm going to follow this team, and you watch, because they'll put out, if you want it, a bazillion hours of content for every team. They're just always putting out content.
Yeah.
So if you want it, you will fall in love with these players.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have your heart broken by them.
Yeah.
In both them leaving you and also them just being, not the person you want them to be.
Sure.
And then some of them, you'll root for them for... 20 years. I mean, like a Ryan Zimmerman for me, where like I root for this guy for 20 years.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he's never had a wrong moment. He's just a good dude who knows how to play baseball.
Yeah.
And you have those and you go, oh, that's just a human I love. And I'm glad I got to know them.
I think Salvador Perez will be that for the Royals.
Yes.
I think that if the amount of things Patrick Mahomes would have to do wrong to have Kansas City turn on him at any point. Honestly, if Patrick Mahomes, he could sway any election he wanted to in Missouri or Kansas, or probably Nebraska and Iowa and Oklahoma, and definitely maybe even still Texas because they love him so much there from college. There's no more powerful person who's ever existed in Missouri, and Walt Disney's from there. There is no...
But then you fall, I mean, let me tell you. Once you enter, politics is a unique level of sports where once you enter that world, they'll tear you down. Brett Favre tried to dip his toe in, and pretty quickly it was like, yeah, and we love you, Brett, and fuck you.
I think now it is a little bit
Tito
different.
Ortiz.
Tito, yes. I mean, so many. Yeah, Tito Ortiz.
I would like to propose this that you could use as a running thing on this podcast. How many episodes from now will Ben Roethlisberger be Kurt Schilling?
That is such a funny point. And for those that don't know his points, Kurt Schilling, great pitcher for the Boston Red Sox.
Kurt Schilling is a January 6th. That's the bit. That is but a great pitcher, borderline Hall of Famer. Honestly, and very similar career arc to Ben Roethlisberger.
Guy, bloody sock, and I mean
beloved by the fan base.
Beloved, and his descent into we fucking hate you because of who you are has been slow and painful to watch. And with that, and Roethlisberger will get there for sure.
He's already sort of like. He came out and had like a press conference. This just happened a couple days. This is like a...
I'm going to hold you, though, for a second, because we have to actually begin the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for the theme song, and let's begin.
You're a #1 fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more. Maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.
And we're back. Ben Roethlisberger, shitty person, gonna be a thing. And you obviously know this show. This moment.
Yes.
This is what we'll be talking about first.
Great.
This is the only thing that happened in sports this entire week. Sometimes, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
I would say if you're a fan during these next couple weeks, because it's training camp for football starts this week.
Yeah.
Really starts. Preseason football will start.
Everyone's a contender.
Everyone's contender. We're going to start having a pickup of stories. But right now,
you're going to start hearing about wide receivers that are going to be breakouts, and then you're never going to hear about them ever again.
And every day, and things, and scuffles, and
Mahomes threw a behind the back pass again yesterday.
Just practicing
in a play.
Oh, he did it in a play? I thought he was practicing now.
It is practice. We talking about practice?
We talking about practice? Did you watch? So that is. Let's talk about this real quick. So, Allen Iverson, maybe the most famous press conference moment of all time.
I would say up there with I think you play to win the game, maybe.
Yes.
And then they are who we thought they are, but maybe the most famous player press conference moment that wasn't
was Allen Iverson yelling, "We're talking about practice."
Yeah.
Not the game. Practice. Referenced in Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Beautifully. Mm-hmm. Beautifully done. There was a documentary I saw online about what was actually going on at that press conference, and that he had just lost a friend.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm just trying to deal with my friend's loss." The rest of that press conference is so deep, and they just never talked about that part of it. It is one of the most fascinating things I've seen in a while. It's sort of this iconic moment that every sports fan knows of. We're talking about the game, practice, and then
But the context is he's a mourning friend.
He was a mourning friend who was like, "I'm in pain.
Yeah,
I miss my friend. And I'm just missing practice."
Allen Iverson was done dirty by the media and the league most of the time. Honestly,
he really was. He really this thing shook me.
This is not a sports reference for it, but like that, I have found that we have really mislearned or been mistold so much information. I call the McDonald's lawsuit. We've all been fed McDonald's coffee lawsuit. The woman who sued McDonald's for spilling coffee on herself, and everyone was like, "Why would you?" Coffee was so hot it burned through the cup and gave her third-degree burns. It had nothing to do with her. She was correct to sue McDonald's.
Yep.
But the whole narrative was, you spilled coffee on yourself? Of course it's hot. Americans sue people over everything.
Huh? The legal system at its worst.
Right, just trying to exploit the mom and pop McDonald's. But in reality, it was they had cranked illegally beyond any realm, cranked this up to boiling coffee and handed it to her in a cup that was disintegrating, and it just disintegrated on her legs, and she had to have all she wanted was medical bills covered, not money. And people, that level of, that became a meme. That's like a Jay Leno meme.
Yes.
That level of misinformation, the Allen Iverson thing.
To prove your point, I had always thought it was the opposite. This is my first time hearing.
Yes.
And
I happened to hear it because it was covered in one of my poli-sci classes at NYU. We talked about that lawsuit because it is one of the most famous. You won't believe how actually serious this was.
Yeah, it is the meme lawsuit. Everything's what is this? Another McDonald's coffee?
McDonald's coffee. It's that was insane. It was a McDonald's that was a truck stop one.
Yeah.
And so
once again, a thing inside of a thing.
Inside of a thing. Never says good.
These Russian nesting coffees.
You can't go to a place that's in. Yeah, and they were giving it to truck drivers, and so they were just do it as hot as possible so it stays hot for them. But they burn this woman. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson's practice speech. You learn more about it?
Yeah.
Ooh. Touch it. Anyway, what I was going to say is this is the week where the past month and this month, if you are a fan and you behave poorly, you're going to get front and center news because we're looking for anything.
This is not the time to not have gotten a vaccine. This is not the time to, like, there really is so little to talk about. Mm-hmm. This is not the time to say your mediocre quarterback is as good as Patrick Mahomes. That will become news for a month.
Yes.
When you're really just saying, this guy's cool.
Yes. Oh, the amount of stories that are coming out right now in all sports that are just based around someone being like, I don't know, I mean, he's good. And then it's just the next day people are like, good? I hate, but they're looking for anything. And at the All-Star game, well, no All-Star thing happened that was interesting.
No.
Well, not
so little happened that I saw Bryan Cranston get struck out looking like 7 times.
That's true.
That clip was everywhere.
That clip was everywhere because it was like something happened. J.K. Simmons pulling him out.
Yeah.
For the record, bad strike call.
Terrible strike call and hilarious guy to call out on a bad pitch because he leans into knowing he knows what people are looking for.
He knows that we're afraid of him.
Yeah.
That we all live in fear of him. This guy.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is the most famous person in sports right now. We don't know his name, but all we know is at the All-Star game, kids are trying to get autographs.
Right.
And I've yelled at this show before. I forget who, but I remember, didn't I go on a rant at some point about, like, I hate autographs? I only like pictures.
I hate them as a whole.
Yes, you did.
Yes. I was like, I hate them as a premise. I don't like them. I think they lead to shitty people doing shitty things.
Yeah.
And at the red carpet of the All-Star game, this guy, front and center, just fighting his way over kids, including this lovely moment where he gives a little, please, elbowing. And we're elbowing a child.
It's the most embarrassing part might be that it has been Bill Simmons. I almost said Ben Simmons, but he's not near a sporting event.
This is the most talked about moment in sports this week. Is this guy?
I have thought about this and had no one to talk to about this exact clip. I think everyone who likes sports has their rules about exactly this type of moment. And I cannot stop thinking about this guy.
Yes, Noah.
This to me just seems it's very Disney adult, where it's like we're ruining the childlike fun of something for something because you're latching onto it so intensely.
And I would also say this involves money, which is the worst part. This is a guy who's going to sell that baseball.
And much like Disney, this man is near Shohei Otani and Mike Trout playing in a pointless game.
And that joke isn't for most of the listeners, but
but if it is for you, yummy for you.
But that's the fun of the podcast is that every now and then, those of you that love sports get just that.
How are you going to have 2 of the most important players of a century and never make... What are they, like 8 games under 500 right now?
The Angels have 2 of the greatest players
of all
on
time.
The planet. Of all time. Shohei Otani being... If you know anybody in baseball, Shohei Otani is the most fun player because he pitches and hits at a level good as any.
At an elite level and a cool level.
Yes.
He has the greatest sound since Bryce Harper.
Yes.
He has the greatest bat sound since like
for those of you who don't know sports,
Harper.
Bat sound means the sound of when he hits a baseball.
Yeah.
Some people just have these swings where it's like when they hit it, you just like hear it and you're like, ooh.
It's really Bryce Harper had the best sound since Griffey.
Yeah.
I think. And then Shohei now, a Shohei and a Bryce Harper home run, it just sounds better.
Shohei is maybe the most important player in baseball, potentially changing the game completely. And then Mike Trout is maybe the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
And they both are on a team, and they have nobody else, and they're losing constantly, and it's a wild situation. And they're new to Disneyland.
So this guy.
So your thoughts on this guy?
This guy's begging for an autograph here over children. You don't need the autograph. Doesn't matter who you're asking. I think you shouldn't be able to ask for an autograph for someone younger than you. I think that I think it's okay if this guy is begging for Brooks Robinson's autograph or Pete Rose's autograph. Who you don't have to beg Pete; he'll sell you one. But this guy,
well, I mean, you have to beg him in the sense that you're not getting it for free.
I believe if you're this age, you shouldn't be in the corralled group of people begging to start with. If you want to get an autograph, go to the mall like the rest of us and wait in line for the sad guy with a knee brace to sign it.
And by the way, and worth noting, and I don't feel people talk about this, there's another dude to his right who's also behaving insanely. He didn't get all the press that this guy got, granted, because this guy's being stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, the arguing with the kid. I mean, that's when it really takes a turn to. That's the moment everybody's talking about.
And it just is a crazy thing. I think honestly to add to. What are you going to do with the? You're going to resell it.
You're going to resell it.
You're too old to have it on your shelf for 30 years. You don't have that left. Mm-hmm. So I just think it doesn't. It doesn't make.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay, and people will say, "Well, what if when he was a kid he didn't have that?" Sucks. You didn't have that. Then okay, that's fine. Then let this kid have the opportunity you didn't have. Not take this from another kid and have someone else grow up to be the saddest Batman villain.
I've been very pleased so far by the response from the sports world to this, because this has been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah,
and everybody has been like, enough with the adult autograph seekers.
You know who I hate is the foul ball collecting guy that everyone knows about.
Oh,
there's one guy
Zach
who has more
Hampel.
foul balls than it. Yes, I hate this man, and he brags about.
Yes.
I caught this foul ball. You brought a net to a bleacher seat.
Yep. No, he's this guy Zach Hampel.
Like thousands.
And by the way, can't believe I knew his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, pretty bad. I don't know some of my cousins' wives' names.
I know. The amount of people at comedy shows who I'm like, buddy, not a clue, and then somebody's like, who's the backup quarterback? And I'm like, let me tell you something.
Well, technically, Zach Flynn isn't the backup anymore.
Yeah.
Matt Flynn made a lot of money. One game.
Josh Rosen just got re-signed.
I did see that.
And him and I got tuxes at the same time.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Fun. Yeah, it's a problem. Guys like this. Yes, the Zach Hampel guy is a guy who goes to baseball games, and his whole thing is that he catches foul balls.
He has like at this point
balls.
he has like an algorithm for where to sit for batters.
Yes,
and he
so
tries
he's
to
running
find
around
like
the stadium,
where will be
game.
the best place to be
And
for
he
these
vlogs
various.
it
Yeah,
like it's cool,
yeah,
and it's not.
it's not.
It's weird.
It is weird.
I don't approve of it. You're stealing foul balls because that's like my dad caught a foul ball once. Mm-hmm. He'll tell you this story if you even mention the word foul or ball near him. And it's one of the best moments of his life. I can do this. I've heard the story enough times. It was hit over my head, but I played the ricochet. I knew the ricochet was coming. I caught it off the wall. But it was such a special moment.
This is like his Married with Children 3 touchdown story.
Yes, but it's a special moment. To catch a foul ball in a real life Major League Baseball game is a special moment.
Yeah.
And this fucking guy Zach is just running all over the park, stealing them from people.
I would feel so much better giving a foul ball to a kid than keeping one. Because if you can catch it, that's the fun part. You make a cool catch, you'll get on television. Then you hand it to a kid, you'll get on television more.
Well, there was that thing that came out that I watched a video where a guy did that, caught it, gave it to a kid, and then the kid ended up catching another one, and he gave it to the guy.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful full
That's
circle.
the best thing of all time.
Put it in the vid.
Yeah.
Put it in the vid. That is one of the sweetest moments. Anytime. Oh, the best is, I mean, listen, if we want to get into things in baseball that will make me cry, a kid catching a foul ball and then giving it to a smaller kid.
Right, like a 12-year-old to an 8-year-old or something like
Up
that.
there with a puppy video.
Oh,
It's
my
just like,
God.
Or a kid catching a puppy at a baseball game.
I believe our first story back from our hiatus was the guys,
Slugger hot dog? Oh.
No, the guys catching that cat.
Yes.
That was our first story back because I was like,
that was at a soccer game, correct? Or was that at a college football game?
college football game.
Okay. Every once in a while, you'll see something like that, or like a paper airplane that goes really far. I like stuff like that. That's pretty fun. It's like hit a guy at a soccer game. Someone threw from the upper deck. You're just like, this is incredible.
That's incredible. And to see a whole a story within a story.
In the frivolous lawsuit and stuff thrown at the crowd category, one time the Royals mascot Slugger blinded someone with the hot dog cannon and had to go to court and got sued for blinding someone with the hot dog cannon. You look it up, very good. But there's like court documents that he's referenced as Slugger with 9 R's, which is incredible to see in like a court document. Like, the people versus Slugger is wonderful.
Now they protected the guy under the mask. It was more of they sued the organization.
I think it was more the organization, yeah.
Okay.
Because using a hot dog cannon, and the hot dogs would come. The Royals couldn't really afford a good hot dog cannon at this point, and they would just come out of the wrapper, and so it would just be like 5 pieces flying. Like it would be like some aluminum, some bun, a wiener. It just was absolutely chaos.
And you know what's probably so funny is like that was probably something they were shooting for at a certain point because it's probably so funny when it comes out.
Yeah.
And they like go flying everywhere. It's like that's just a good time.
Oh, for sure.
And then
It's like a mortar.
yeah. But the lady got hit in the eye. She actually got blinded by
Blinded.
it. Ugh,
You know,
tough.
that's got to be funny to tell the LASIK person though. Please.
So you're gonna laugh, but I want to remind you, I'm in extreme pain.
I like to think that they were a visiting fan too, so they're just like, okay, do you know the baseball team in the other city's lion mascot with thumbs?
That's what. Oh yeah. I mean, it's
Hate
tough.
this guy.
Hate this guy. Fuck this guy. Don't be this guy.
What do you think about the rule? Autograph. Could I walk up to Patrick? Could I do this to Patrick Mahomes?
So if it was my policy,
Mm-hmm.
no more autographs.
At all?
Done. Photos. Take a photo. We used to do autographs because it was a way to memorialize that you met somebody.
Yeah.
We now, through the gift of modern technology, have this thing.
Yeah.
Which allows us to take a photo with your favorite athlete,
Then you
actor,
can't resell
whatever.
it.
Every single time I am at not that I get a ton, but when I do, if someone asks for a photo, it is a yes every time. If someone
Yeah.
asks for an autograph every time, I'm like, why?
Yeah. I've had people ask for me to sign an album. Mm-hmm. And I would still rather take a photo.
Oh, every time.
It's just nicer.
And yeah.
But I'll autograph stuff. But I
don't have
I don't
enough-
think anyone's like doing this to resell
Sure,
my autograph.
I mean, listen, there's a market for mine, very small, but there is a market. But I will say this: what I find, I just think it's stupid. It's bad. So that would be my policy. Would be no more autographs.
Yeah.
Photos. Every single kid stand that line. Just go spot to spot, photo. Have somebody with every athlete who's just
Yeah.
grabbing phones. Boom. It's the way you do it. You've toured with big acts. At the end of the show, there's a VIP line. Everybody gets in line. Everybody
Yeah.
gets a photo and an interaction.
Even if
and
you
it
don't have
means
time,
so
the
much
athlete
more.
could just turn around and take one here and post it, and it would be a picture with everybody that they could use for something.
Yeah.
Like you see that. I went to a LAFC game with Adam Conover, and we were down in the VIP thing, and Adam Conover's got like fans who were super excited to see him, and there were people like screaming from just on the other side of like the tunnel, please Adam, take a picture with us. And he literally grabbed their phone and took a selfie up with all of them at the same time, hand it back. That's great for them.
Yep.
That's perfect. Versus what are you going to
Everybody's
sign
happy.
a ticket stub and
Everybody's
then just
happy.
in a drawer?
And by the way, in that time that it takes us to get the photo, we have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to talk to you.
Yeah. I got
that's
their bank information on the phone.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. All right, we'll be right back. Oh, hey there. During this break in the action, I just wanted to throw out there that this is the perfect opportunity to write a comment or subscribe, or if you're listening, you can just give us a rating and whatever you want. Just this is the moment where during this break, since we don't have a Patreon or anything, this is the moment to do something like that. It'd mean a lot. All right, back to the action. And we're back. I'm holding my baseball that I got at a spring training game. Handed to me. Didn't catch it. And these are the things we learned. These are the things we did. You caught a baseball in a game.
I've left a baseball game with a baseball a few times.
Look at you.
Here's one of an advantage of being a Royals fan growing up is sometimes you're one of the 11 people at the game. So you're like, oh, I got a foul ball because it landed 2 sections over and no one was between us. Mm-hmm. I've ended up with a lot of foul balls from walking over and picking them up.
That's awesome.
There will be so few people at a game when I was growing up, and then the Royals got good, and they won World Series, and now they're not good, but at least people are still excited.
Yes.
I got some baseballs growing up just because that so few people around, the ball had stopped by the time I got to it. I'm just picking up a ball that's sitting still somewhere. So I got a few from there. At a Yankees-Royals game one time, I did get a home run ball that was hit by a Royals player.
That's fine.
And that was pretty cool. But there wasn't a lot of people there because it was a daytime game on a weekday. And
Love
I
a
wasn't
day
in the
game.
bleachers. I was in the right fields. And not a lot of people sit there because they want to sit. The bleachers are cheaper if you're going to sit in the outfield, or you'll sit somewhere else. But I was like, I didn't want to sit by a bunch of people. Bleachers aren't that fun as a away fan either.
Yeah, I don't like being an away fan in general.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of showing up to a stadium being like, everyone hates me.
There is a difference, once again, being a Royals fan. This was right after they had won the World Series, and so, but still no one cares. Like, you're just like, it's not like I'm a Red Sox fan. I show up to a Yankees-Royals game, and the old guys are like, fucking George Brett is so cool. Mm-hmm. Remember, we used to have a rivalry with the Royals. And then young people are like, that's crazy. You like them? And thanks for beating the Mets. Like, it's like, that's all that. Thanks for not letting the Mets win a World Series.
I mean, that's basically like Cowboys and Commanders.
Yeah.
Our rivalry has really died over the years because we haven't been competitive, and the Eagles fans are the worst.
You know, that actually works out well because that was a game I played growing up was Cowboys and Commanders. I would play that with my friends. And so it's really that helped me. Just, you know, I know a lot of people lost their childhood game. I got mine. Commanders always win in that showdown of technology.
This next story comes from Noah. You're the one who texted me this one.
Yes, I
And
texted you a few, so I'm curious.
You said, and I said, ooh, anytime we're low on anytime at this point on this show, if we don't have a story to talk about,
Yeah.
we have to go into one of our favorite segments. Mm-hmm. One of our best segments.
Yeah.
One of the only segments we have. Mm-hmm. How much is this fucking World Cup gonna fucking suck this year?
At least it's going to be bad.
Hey, at least it's gonna be bad and potentially the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between, at best, at this point, bad is the best case.
I saw the Saudi prince wasn't going because he said it was corrupt.
Is that real?
No. No, he's carrying a journalist out in a briefcase. And then Joe Biden's going to fist bump him.
Oh, that was bad. No, that was bad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is crazy. It is crazy. I like that. It's almost respectable how little FIFA cares about being corrupt. It's almost like...
Well, because the thing is because I was saying, they already got in trouble for this.
Yes.
This is already, everybody who was involved in this
Right.
decision.
This is like if Deshaun Watson was playing in the Super Bowl in 2 years.
Yes. Deshaun Watson, if those you remember, that's the guy who has 1,000 massage therapists who are suing him at any given time.
Right.
We talked about him. Yes, this World Cup. So we've been tracking it here, and we've had. I'm sure you've kept up with some of the absolute nightmare stories, including
Yes.
running out of hotels.
Yes.
People that stay in tents.
Yes.
We can't drink.
They should have known when Ja Rule planned the World Cup in Qatar that there was going to be issues with it.
It really is becoming true. I mean, it is. I've said the one that.
Hotter than a fire festival is what it'll be.
I mean, the no drinking thing. I've also. I mean, we've talked about this on this show of like, and this is without this news story, but like the coming together of an intense policed place like
Yes.
Qatar and soccer hooligans.
Yes.
Who will not be able to drink in the stadium, which means they are going to show up.
They will start drinking so early because they want to be drunk
Yes.
in 90 minutes.
I also think my thing is I think a lot of people are going to fly in day of. So they're going to fly in, get absolutely blasted, land,
Yeah.
go to the thing, leave. Which means we're going to have drunk hooligans
Yeah.
and intense police.
But at least soccer fans aren't racist. So nothing will come up. It's going to be...
I have said this once and I'll say this again. This brings me no joy to say. But sometimes I watch what's going on in soccer around the world and I do go like, okay, so we're not the only ones over here.
Right.
We're not. Hey, you know what? It appears we're all struggling with this issue.
I think that... I mean, it is... Yes. Soccer is so racist. And
Racist.
It is absolutely incredible.
Soccer English hooligan fans are so racist
And it's
sometimes.
it's crazy because...
in a way that we would never.
within
Like,
their leagues and then their national team, and you see all the times where they're like, this national team doesn't look like our nation, and you're like, we know what you mean. Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying, France. You know what I mean? It's like, do you want to be worse? Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh.
It is crazy. It is very racist. It is very wild. It is racist in an unabashed, loud way. Then you add alcohol and rhyming. That's the problem. Is American sports fans aren't that great at organizing. Soccer, you saw them. Half of them couldn't even get into the Capitol. Soccer fans are very good at organizing.
Yes.
And remembering and chants, and it is wild. The World Cup is going to be insane. If soccer is the United States might win it. That's how crazy it's going to be.
The amount of distractions happening around the game.
Yeah,
Are
a player
going-
might die. Like it's going to be crazy.
Well, so another element that we covered on this is that if you have sex in Qatar with somebody you are not married to, 7 years in jail.
Right.
So that's going to be a problem for the athletes. I think we all see a potential issue for
Brittany Griner is not going to have it.
One thing we won't talk about on the show.
Yeah.
It's the one topic.
Well, it's because it's insane.
because there's no good news.
Yeah.
If I have one piece of good news, I will report it.
Yeah.
But
so you will talk about it someday, which will be exciting.
yes, someday I will talk about it. But right now, every time someone brings it up, and it's been brought up many times, I'm always like, if I had an ounce of positive news on that story,
There's really nothing.
there's really nothing. It's a problem. I don't see a solution.
Can we, to talk back about the World Cup, because
Yes.
I remember when Qatar won the bid over the United States and other countries. But it was basically everyone was fairly certain the United States was going to win that one, and then Qatar got it. I remember part of Qatar's pitch, because this was before they decided to move it to the winter, because it's the hottest country in the world.
On top of other issues, yes.
This is
on
this is where
on top of other issues,
one of the things
it's going
was
to be 100 degrees.
One of the things was it was in the summer there it's 125 degrees. It's 125 degrees Celsius. No, it's not Celsius. Qatar. This is how corrupt FIFA is. Qatar said we will build clouds.
Yep.
We will build artificial clouds, and the stadium will be shaded. And FIFA was like, okay, well then that problem's solved.
Done.
And then
Yep.
no one talks about this anymore. And instead they moved it to November because you can't build clouds. In Qatar they're not Jewish; they don't control the weather, and so they can't. Sorry, I was joking.
How dare you?
But it was such a crazy thing. It is one of those things. I feel similar about the Qatar World Cup like I do the Trump presidency, which is we didn't get to laugh at the insane things enough because of the fear of destruction.
Yes. And so that's why, honestly, that's why we've been focusing on it so much, is because right now, it's the fun time.
Yes.
I really believe that this podcast is,
They're staring at the eclipse.
first off, one of the few podcasts I feel like I is consistently talking about this. I don't think many people have fully been tracking it like we have. If you've been following this podcast, you know how much, not just do I think it is hilariously bad,
Yeah.
but how much I believe there is going to be a serious incident there. And we will not be able to joke about it at that point. So let's have a good time
I
right
think
now.
everyone is
Let's
just
have a good time
assuming.
on the premise.
I think everyone is just assuming they won't do anything. Like Qatar isn't a country that would love to have a big political chip over someone else. I think that they're just like, they won't care. Like when but they will.
They will care.
Something will happen.
And the issue is because people are like, well, people just aren't going to go. And I'm like, no. There are people go to the World Cup. This is if you are an English soccer
They save
fan,
up their whole life.
They save up their whole life to go to the World Cup. This is going to be one of the cheaper ones to go to.
And if you're
so
an
you can
English
stay in
fan,
a
you don't have to
fucking
worry
tent.
about going to too many games.
Fuck you. It is going to be a problem. Anyway, so the new piece of news, because you said this to me, was because obviously you can't have sex. So then I thought you sent me what I thought said was gay sex is not allowed, and I was like, I could have guessed that, but that is not what's not allowed. Being gay, period, not allowed in Qatar. 3-year jail sentence. They claim that will be waived for the World Cup. I claim potentially a problem.
Oh, yeah.
I claim bullshit on that wave.
I claim potentially a problem if the law says not just if someone comes into that country who is gay and they can prove you're gay, 3-year jail sentence.
People will take rainbow flags to games.
Yep.
And even if this will be one of these bizarre bigot laws will be an inciting incident.
Yes.
Whether or not the fallout from that is someone being arrested for being gay or people get killed in a fight outside the stadium.
Yes.
It's going to be an inciting incident in something.
Or when England loses, inevitably,
Yeah.
and the fans riot, as they always do.
Yeah.
How's that police system going to be able to handle that?
I was literally just I was thinking, because we can laugh about it now, but I think it's going to take a lot of the fun out when the games actually happen. For all the laws that they're trying to enforce, the police presence they're going to have at these games. You're going to watch on TV and also be at the game. It's going to be like, oh, this almost feels like Squid Game, like we're trapped here.
It's going to feel like when Bane showed up to that Steelers game.
Yes.
You're just like, are we cheering still? Is that Hines Ward?
Remember when it was clearly the Steelers, but they were like, it's the Gotham
Knights? Sentinels or
Yeah.
Knights or something. You're like, really? Because that's Hines Ward.
That's it isn't just clearly the Steelers, but then it's maybe the most famous Steelers player.
Yeah, of that time.
Certainly the only one that's liked.
In black and gold.
Certainly the most famous one.
Certainly
the
one named after the field.
Yeah. And by the way, R.I.P. Heinz Field.
That's one of my favorite things is when people get sad when a corporation thing changes. I was doing stand-up in Chicago, and I called it Sears, or I called it the whatever Sears Tower is called now. I don't remember, but I knew they would get mad. And I was walking around down by the Toyota building or whatever, and someone goes Sears Tower, and I'm like, they're both companies. And he's like, we call it Sears Tower. I'm like, well, you should have fucking shopped at Sears more. No one went to Sears for 20 years. You're not surprised they changed the name of the building. But it is when the corporate thing you grew up with is okay. Long Island City has that Pepsi sign, a big giant Pepsi ad on the water that's beautiful and cool. Could you imagine if they tried to build that now?
Yeah,
people would riot. But also, if they tried to tear it down now, people would riot.
People do not like change, and if you're a corporation that gets in at a certain point, you're allowed. Yes, Heinz Field is just a catch-up thing, but people are livid. And I got to tell you, I'm gonna miss it. I got to tell you, I saw the ketchup when they had a footage like the ketchup bottle going down, and I was like,
yeah, I saw that too.
And I was like, ah.
Well, they really should have relished that moment.
Oh,
we'll be right back. God, he's good.
Should have got to catch up on some of these stories.
We'll be right back. During this break in the action, if you have a story idea, send it to me. You can email it to me. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me on Twitter. You can message me on all the ways to send it to me. Send me ideas. I'll shout you out. I like it. I don't know everything. Send me ideas. All right, back to the show. And welcome back to Quick Hits. These are quick stories. These are just quick tales. Kyle, did I lose you?
I'm just trying to be in the camera.
These are quick little stories. We just go through them fast. Wander Franco of Wander Franco fame.
Love Wander Franco.
We've talked about Wander Franco before because he has dad named Wander Franco, 2 brothers named Wander Franco. His name is Wander Franco.
And it's a cool name.
And it's a name that's cool.
It sounds like an anagram.
He was down in the minors, which is insane because minor league baseball. We talk about
that. Sounds like the name of Matt Gates' podcast.
Oof. Did you
Sorry.
see when talk about a guy that there's no good news about? What just an absolute piece of garbage. Yeah. When you go down to the minor leagues, your life is miserable, and then you go to the major leagues, it's great. Wander Franco, unfortunately, had to go down to the minors just for a little bit, just a little rehab assignment, and he had $650,000 worth of jewelry stolen because he was staying at a shitty hotel. $650,000.
Who knows how much that's worth?
These players can't go down to the minors, and they can't certainly bring $650,000. That's a lot of money to have it with you.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't bring anything worth $2,000 into if I'm staying somewhere where my door opens to outside.
Sure. It was a DoubleTree hotel.
Sure.
That's gonna give you a sense of where we were at.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And 650.
He was a real ice machine. That barely makes any sense. I'm just thinking about stuff there'd be at hotels.
No, that was very fun.
Diamond is ice, right?
Yeah.
Diamond is ice.
No, it makes.
This is what how a rich person talks.
No, this is
Diamond is ice, right?
No, this is
Jewelry be money.
And I think that this is definitely certainly a white person conversation.
Yeah.
And ice means jewelry, right?
That's the thing from Pimp My
Let me
Ride.
do a Google about that.
I think they use that word.
I think players have that, but not play. I think playas, which is I believe Spanish for beach.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's how they say it. That's how we should say it.
Why can't we say it? They say it in all the songs.
Quidditch, the professional Quidditch league.
This was another one I was going to text you.
Oh, I caught it, and I went. Has been renaming itself Quad Ball because they want to distance themselves from J.K. Rowling. And what I can only say is, I
thought you didn't do no good news stories on here.
I mean, it's so stupid that it just has to be addressed. What are we doing?
I feel like the main allure is that it's the thing from Harry Potter, not that it's fun.
Well, let's also now, because let's remember, this is I don't know if anybody has watched Quidditch in real life.
One of my brother's best friends is a collegiate Quidditch player.
Now, they're not giving out scholarships.
No, I'm sure he pays a lot of money to do it.
Okay. I just want to clarify on collegiate
One of the few
Quidditch
sports where every series is a sweep.
Kyle,
My God.
you are so good at this. I
I just seeker them out, you know. I like Harry Potter. Yeah.
I love Harry Potter.
I got into it because I like J.K. Rowling's politics, then I found out she wrote a book.
She is, and I look. She's got one bad opinion. I think she is an inspiring figure. She's got a lot of things. She's got one opinion.
Also, like-
she just can't. It's like a Chappelle, where it's like,
To me,
we
I'm
just
just-
pick this one issue. We just won't drop.
I'm just
it.
like, if you I don't hold it against you if you call it Quidditch. I'm not like, no one cares. We know where you got it from.
Listen, you're running around with a broom between your legs. Like, it just
Yeah.
is what it is. We're doing what we're doing. Either don't play it,
Yeah.
but what you can't do is name it quad ball.
Quad ball sounds like some sort of like LL Cool J movie from the early aughts.
Yeah.
Where people like get killed.
Some sort of like dystopian sport.
Yes. Like, remember Rollerball? That movie Rollerball? I think he was actually in that. And it was like very much like, not steampunk, but like Tron future.
What was that Escape from New York?
Yeah.
That basketball scene.
Yeah.
That'll stay with me forever.
There's the football scene in Starship Troopers where it's basically football, but the ball is metal.
Yes.
It's like
This
they
is
have
like-
smaller pads and the ball is like a metal ball.
So we should at some point go through
I would love a
future sports,
a
because
bracket of future sports. Which one is the best
Hollywood
fake
writers,
future sport?
Hollywood writers sitting in a room going, okay, now there's football, but it's the year 3050. What would football be like?
What would football look like when bugs are the enemy?
And it's just, you watch and you're like, what in
It's
what
a
world would
metal
football
ball, and the
be?
pads always just get a little sleeker. But then the football is metal.
But it's also like 1,000 times more violent.
Also, the
usually.
ground is metal because when he slams it, it makes a metal on metal like ting.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Anyways,
Yes.
Quidditch.
Quidditch. No longer. Quad ball.
Quad ball.
Quad ball. Quad ball for sure a game you make up in your dorm.
I mean, hey, if nothing else, I'm sure that's going to fix the problem. That's going to really help. Just if we're going to support transgender rights, let's either not support. If you're going to take that hard a stance, just don't play the sport. Don't change the name. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah, but that's very Nancy Pelosi kneeling way of fixing a problem.
Yes. It's like we certainly made a performative move.
I saw someone say that they think Nancy Pelosi is in the Black Panther suit at the end of that trailer, and it made me laugh a lot. They're like, who's the new Black Panther? And someone's like, I think you know who it is, and there's that picture of Nancy Pelosi kneeling.
I'll tell you what, we don't talk about a ton of politics in here. Her sprinting off that stand when they asked about her husband's trading is that's one of the top press conference moments I've seen in a while.
Truly. They're talking about trading.
Trading.
You talking about insider trading?
Talking about trading.
I'm not even talking about real trading. Pokemon trading.
No. Just sprinting out of there. It's a bold play. Bold play to run out of there after that question's asked.
She's just going to start pretending she's deteriorating like Weinstein now. She's going to have like a walker next time. Be like, I can't understand what you're saying. Like Sammy Sosa in front of the Judiciary Committee.
What a time. Oh, good old Sammy. FC, last story. FC Halifax Town.
Sounds like the last story.
Fifth.
A lot of last stories end with FC.
Let me tell you something. The fact I found this many stories, given the desert I've been in. All right? Kiffin.
Imagine if you're a FC Halifax fan and you have to wait through the Quidditch talk to get to your team.
FC Halifax Town. They are fifth tier English football. They signed a guy named Jamie Allen on June 9th. Big signing for them.
Okay.
Less than a month later, he signed up for Love Island. He's gone from the team. Tough way to lose one of your players.
Yikes.
Wow. Talk about back to reality.
I mean, what a tough break for you. Gotta feel for FC Halifax Town.
Right. It's just like when Kyler Murray didn't go play for the A's.
Oof. Boy, the A's just getting smashed this week over that.
Oh, yeah. Well, because isn't he getting paid more than their whole team?
Yes.
That's pretty fun. But
This is so there's a professional football player who is, and this is very rare. This is not a common thing, but every now and then somebody is so good at two sports that they get offered both.
yeah.
And back in the day, you were allowed to do both.
It's almost always baseball and.
Yes. baseball, and because you can really time it out. So you can time out baseball and then just like the rest of the time. So he's a professional quarterback who also was offered first-round pick in baseball.
Yeah.
He went football.
And many, many times it's not a first-round pick. That's even more rare.
Yes.
It's oftentimes like Patrick Mahomes got drafted and Tom Brady got drafted in baseball, like the 25th,
Really?
3rd, like these far, far baseball rounds. But by that point in the draft, you're just drafting people.
But Kyler Murray, yes, sometimes you're drafting. I mean, Mike Piazza was famously the cousin of somebody. It was like a favor pick. They drafted him.
Yeah.
Look at him now. But he was a genuine first round pick. They really wanted
Great
him.
prospect.
Great prospect. But he instead decided to play football because he openly said because there's more money.
Yeah.
And he just signed a contract for $46.5 million a year, which is more than the entire team's contract for the Oakland A's currently.
Yeah.
And that is why baseball won't get the top tier athletes.
It is top heavy. Baseball is very top heavy.
Very
but it's very
top
top heavy
heavy
with like 6 guys.
We haven't had Matt and Ty on in a while, but we will have them on in this new version. But they are my minor league. We just talk minor leagues with them, and they both were minor league players. Ty played in the majors, and they describe the horrors. The horrors.
I don't know if you did talk about that quote where Rob Manfred, who could have thought someone would be worse than Bud Selig. Rob Manfred said someone's like, why don't you pay
current commissioner
leaguers?
of Major League Baseball?
Someone said, why don't you pay minor league baseball players a living wage? And he goes, well, I disagree. I think we do. And they're like, no, you don't. Here's the numbers. And he's like, no, I don't agree with that. And they're like showing him.
No. It was
alternative facts.
It was just one of these things where, like, listen, there's so many good ways to lie. As somebody who is about to be very well known as a liar, I will be known as a liar.
Yeah.
I consider myself an elite liar. I'm one of the best liars out there. I can lie to everybody's face. I feel nothing. I'm good at it. Just what it is. The key to a lie is...
Right, like, I don't even believe you're good at it. That's how good you are at lying.
And maybe I'm not. Yeah. And so, but to be good at lying, you pick a lie that's believable enough. There has to be ounces of truth to what you're saying.
Right.
What you can't lie is go like, your hat says DP. It's like, it doesn't. And like, I can say it as convincingly as I want. You just keep going. You can't go, we pay them a living wage when we all know exactly what they're paid. You can't do it.
You say that, but in the past, like 5-6 years, people have just sort of repeated very verifiable lies so often that I think you just kind of...
I'm trying to talk about it on stage, man. It's wild. People just... When you try to correct somebody and you're like, no, I'm just like, I'm not even mean.
I just don't want to believe that. People say that like that makes it a fact now. I just don't want to believe that.
There's 2 phrases I hear that I've been talking about. One is, it could be true.
Yes.
That's one they'll
what if it was?
It could be, but it could be true. And you're like, sure, you got me there.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I think frequently, what if JFK Jr. did show up in Dallas? We would have looked stupid. What if those people were right? Mm-hmm. What would change? We would have looked so dumb. So would he. How taunting where your dad died? That's a weird place to show up. Jesus didn't even do that.
Mm-hmm. That's the one. And then the other one they'll say is this: they'll go, it's really complicated. I think it's a really complicated issue, and I'll be like, but it's not. Some things are complicated. Yeah. This one, you're just wrong.
Yeah, if both of us are talking about it, it can't possibly be that complicated.
It can't be that complicated because I just...
If it's a word I know...
The only reason it's complicated is because you believe something that isn't true. So if we took that out of the equation, now we're just on the same page.
Yeah.
Hey, let's wrap this up. Oh, hey, during this break in the action, I have nothing else to say. I just want to give us a break in the action. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing, rating. All right, let's go back. And welcome back, Kyle. Absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me.
And that's a new way to hold the microphone, but I love it.
I'm trying to do wrist strength training.
Really?
No, I'm going to the gym. I'm in the gym now.
Doing F45, bro.
What's that?
It's like this, like
type of
it's
jet?
like, I would describe it as CrossFit, but like nice.
I had a roommate do P90X.
I did P90X.
As did I.
It's very intense.
Love P90X.
They should have called P90X Neighbors Downstairs Hate Andrew.
Oh, you think they hate him for that? Wait until he does Insanity.
Or no, that's what he did. Insanity.
Insanity's the one where you're hopping. I mean, it's insane.
By that guy. What the guy? I don't remember that guy's name.
Sean T.
Sean T,
T.
baby.
Fitness.
Sean T. I don't want to give anything away, but in my new special, Sean T. referenced.
I don't want to give anything away, but I catfished my old roommate with a fake Sean T. Fitness Twitter account one time. I own Sean T. F. lowercase L. Tness, and I told him I wanted to hang out one time.
So funny.
Yeah.
Sean T gets a massive shout out in my special. I love Sean T. Insanity is great. Insanity, though, yes, downstairs neighbors absolutely will hate you.
So that's what I want to plug.
P90X.
Yeah.
With Tony Horton is the name of that guy. Tony Horton.
Yeah, from Horton. His family owns the coffee place. Like they're like
But that's what made me-
he's like in the Tim Horton like.
Is that true?
No, but I'm good at lying about that stuff too.
Ooh, it got me. Like now I'm like,
I was like, I don't know.
can you look up who the P90X guy is? I'm pretty
Wait,
sure.
Horton heard who? Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's his name. P90X, good time. But F45, it's like a place you go. It's like a CrossFit, but then you.
Tony Horton.
Yes. Go ahead.
Is this the plug time?
This is
Check out
plugs.
Never Seen It with Kyle Ayers. It's a podcast where I have comedians rewrite movies they've never seen.
It is
We've
so
had
funny.
everyone on.
I've been on many
yeah,
times.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I consider myself I consider myself a proud staple actor.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, it's great. And find me on Instagram, and I've been doing fake movie. I'm trying to be fake pretentious movie guy on TikTok, and it's really working out for me.
Is it?
I do a bit where
I've seen the bit.
yeah, it's very fun. I got like 12,000 followers on there now.
Let's fucking
and
go.
like, but no one follows me. Everyone just likes the videos. I got like millions some. Anyways, I'm Kyle Ayers Things on TikTok. But it's fun.
One of the most, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Kyle Ayer is one of the most creative people I know.
See you guys is cool.
Noah?
This weekend, I am in the Bay Area. I'm hosting 4 shows at Alameda Comedy Club. So if you're in the
Alameda.
area,
Alameda.
come check me out.
Here I host again. No.
Oh.
My.
That's been great.
Yeah,
Alameda Comedy Club.
yeah. So that's my plug. Yeah.
Go check it out. For me, do I have anything exciting to plug? I'll be at, I think, you know what? Probably should have thought about it before we start talking. Oh, you know what? I'll say this, actually. I'll say that while I'm in town, I'm in Oxnard weekend after next with Taylor Tomlinson. But every Thursday I do a show called Peacock in LA. And this past week we had Taylor Tomlinson and Bill Burr drop in. I just want to say it is a free show that I encourage people to go to. If you live in LA, like I don't talk about it a lot, but because it's just my free show and it's fun and it's always full anyway. So it's like, why plug it? But like, for the record, Bill and Taylor on one show is for an indie show is insane.
Bill and Tay's Excellent Adventure.
Let me tell you, Bill Burr, we had 2 seconds to make that call. That happened so fast. I don't know if you
2 seconds on whether or not.
Someone came up and they were like, "Can Bill Burr drop in?" And it was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Pfft." And then I turned, he was there. And I was like,
Why? Well, yeah. Imagine you say no.
I know.
Bill Burr's
Because
just
we'd
at
already let
TG.
Taylor drop in, so it was like a double drop in night, which is.
No one's gonna be mad if a show is 20 minutes too long because.
Oh, I told the crowd when I got. I was like, no, we still have 2 more comics, and you'll fucking stay.
Yeah.
I will hear none of it. And now we close. There's one final part.
Oh yeah.
It's called. You already
I know
what's
about
coming.
this.
You already know.
Yeah. Let's go.
3 shots of glory. 3 shots from the couch to here. 2 people have hit. Jessica Michelle Singleton and Sammy Obey.
Dave Shearer.
How many
shots?
You got 3.
Break your microphone.
Nope. Now listen. Now I commentate along. So for those of you listening, he's feeling the ball out, getting a good sense. Ooh, giving a little apple rub.
Okay.
And a good first shot. A lot of things to like. Did miss, but good thing. Distance. Short on the second. Now this is when people get nervous. This is the final shot, but he goes right into it. Oh, you hate to see it.
All right. Don't release the episode.
We'll see you next week.
You're a number 1 fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more. Maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.